I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of 2 Kings, chapter 8, and let's focus on verses 4 and 5. Then the king talked to Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, "Tell me, please, all the great things Elisha has done." And now it happened, when he was telling the king how he had restored the dead to life, that there was the woman whose son was restored to life, appealing to the king for her house and for her land. And Gehazi said, "My lord, O king, this is the woman, and this is her son, whom Elisha restored to life." You know, it was a conversation in the background that the writer of 2 Kings places into the foreground. Something that Elisha had spoken to the woman whose son had been restored to life. Elisha gave her a tip that only a prophet could know. Something about a coming 7-year famine, along with advice about what to do. And he said, "Rise, go, you and your household, and sojourn wherever you can sojourn." And she follows the prophet's counsel, apparently to her advantage, and she stays in Philistia for 7 years. Now, why does it help us to know this, right? Well, why do we care? Remember back in 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 9 and 10, when this woman proposed a little house remodeling project to her husband. Remember, she sensed that Elisha was a holy man of God. He was the Lord's prophet, and she wanted to make this accommodation for him. Why would she do this? Simply because Elisha was the Lord's servant. Consider Matthew 10, verses 41 and 42. Anyone who welcomes a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And anyone who becomes a righteous person because he's righteous will receive a righteous person's reward. And whoever gives just a cup of cold water to one of these little ones because he is a disciple, I assure you, he will never lose his reward. God doesn't miss cold cups of water. And he remembers this woman's kindness to his servant by showing kindness to her. So here was God's kindness in his famine warning system. Consider what that must have meant to her. Today's passage is not the main focus of the chapter, but what an encouragement. Elisha's tip must have been assuring this woman that the keeper of Israel had by no means forgotten her. A small kindness carries a massive encouragement. Now, after 7 years, because Elisha's short-term prophecy concerning the famine was exactly fulfilled, this woman continues to trust the word of the Lord concerning her repatriation and her return home. And what does she find? Gehazi is preparing the king to give favor to her plea concerning her property, before he ever heard her plea. Faith is not fact until it's tested. And this woman received what all who will faithfully trust God's word will receive. She got intimate personal knowledge that the Lord can be trusted. The prophecies concerning Jesus' coming, his earthly ministry, his crucifixion and resurrection, all of them have been fulfilled. And now we must faithfully believe his yet-to-be-fulfilled promise of return. And in response to that truth, we must commit to follow him, knowing that he will be taking to the king whomever has surrendered to him, and then we will enter into eternity with him. Can you imagine that moment when you enter heaven and you hear your name called? Oh, just the person we were speaking of. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like yourself. And if you're being ministered to through the daily teaching of Groundworks Ministries, and you'd like to help us lead God's people back to the Bible, would you consider donating to Groundworks Ministries today? Because we need your support now more than ever. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website. So check us out at groundworksministries.com.